Yes, hi, welcome everyone. I hope everyone's having a good day so far. Today's session is being recorded and will be shared with everyone that's registered later this week. And you can share this recording with any of your colleagues or revisit any of the content at your convenience. We'll also send out the slides and the Q&A next week, so keep an eye out in your inbox. If you do experience poor sound quality at any time, as Imogen has just mentioned, through your computer speakers, you could try dialing into the session by phone instead. There is an option to do this by accessing your device settings at the top of your screen within the Teams session. You can click the three dots for more settings, and then you can select device settings, and a device settings area will open on your right-hand side. Or you can open and close as Hunter C2 has said. Participants will remain muted, but also feel free to use the chat area for questions or comments. We'll also be monitoring the chat throughout the session and have a Q&A after Lucy's presentation, and then another Q&A at the end as a whole. And today, these are our presenters. We have Lucy Hadfield, who is our product manager for content, presenting on Born Digital in the DCS and also working with publishers at CLA. We have Stephen Leach, who is my fellow product support editor. We have Imogen, our senior product manager. And then from here, this is what the presentation will look like. We have the Born Digital and the DCS and working with publishers at CLA with Lucy for the first half. And then secondly, we have DCS update as usual by Imogen. And then we have another Q&A at the end, as mentioned. Lucy, are you ready to go?
Yes, I'm ready.
Perfect.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. I may have met some of you before because I have presented at site and a few DCS webinars in the past. So it's really nice to be here, and I'm here to talk about my role at CLA and how we work with publishers. So I've worked at CLA as a product manager since June 2019. When I first started, I was mainly working on the development of the education platform, which is our platform that's very similar to the DCS, but for schools and further education colleges, and that's actually going to be finishing in July this year. And I was mainly focusing on the technical development, but in 2021, my role changed to focus more on publisher relations and license development. So I work closely with our colleagues at PLS, Publishers Licensing Services, to support publishers with everything related to collective licensing. And this can mean introductory meetings with new publishers to explain the whole concept of collective licensing and who we are at CLA. This can mean discussing the practicalities of supplying content to our platforms, such as the DCS. And just supporting them overall in general content supply and making sure they have everything they need so that you as DCS users are getting as much content as possible. So we often consult with publishers on our new licenses to explain the benefits of opting their content in. For example, we're currently speaking to publishers about our new AI license opt-in. And this will be a big topic of conversation at this year's London Book Fair, which is on the 11th to the 13th of March this year. I'm going to be going on maternity leave on the 10th of April this year, so you may meet the person who's covering my role in a future webinar. So yeah, look out for them. Next slide, please. So, Born Digital partner publishers. We currently have 21 partner publishers who have supplied over 315,000 books on the DCS as part of Born Digital, and we are in conversation with many more, so we are adding content regularly to the platform. I'm going to read out a full list of publishers that we have in the order of how much content they have supplied, and you can see some of their logos here. Hopefully they are familiar to you. So we have Taylor & Francis, Springer Nature, Wiley, University of California Press, Edward Elgar, Boydell and Brewer, Edinburgh University Press, Bristol University Press, Cogan Page, University Wales Press, Amber Books, Pearson Education, Faber and Faber, Elsevier, Wordsworth Editions, Arcturus Publishing, Canterbury Press, Burley Dodd Science Publishing, Polity Press, Authentic Media, and finally we have Jacaranda. So we currently have 21 and that number will be increasing soon, so watch out for more content being added. We add content, oh sorry, next slide please. Thank you. We add new content to the DCS, I think roughly every 3 months. We don't have a schedule, but that's about when it happens, every quarter or so. And our next data load is currently being tested before the content goes live, and we've been welcoming some new partner publishers. These are Human Kinetics, who are an American publisher. They publish content on different forms of physical activity. Blood Axe Books, who are a small independent poetry publisher, and Manchester University Press, who I'm sure you've all heard of. And we'll also be adding some nice new content from some of our current partner publishers, including Taylor and Francis, Faber, Boydell and Brewer, and Edward Elgar. We really welcome all requests for content, so please do let us know if there's a particular publisher or a particular book or you would like to have on the DCS as part of Born Digital. Please do let us know, because in the conversations that we have with publishers at the book fairs and in general, it really helps in our conversations with them if they know people are requesting their content. So that really just helps to move things along and get the content on there. So please do let us know what we should be prioritising. Next slide, please. So when we get a new publisher signing up to Born Digital, we get them to sign the DCS Born Digital agreement, and we give them access to our FTP content store. And that's where they upload the content in PDF or EPUB format, and also supply metadata via Onyx. So we receive the metadata and the content files from publishers in the format that they choose to provide it. So they often have their systems in place and then they include us and start supplying the content to us in the format that works well for them. So we are aware that this can sometimes result in discrepancies. And what I mean by that is, for example, a publisher might provide metadata for the EPUB of a certain book, but provide us with the print book file. And that can mean that there might be a difference in the publication date on the DCS, for example. And we know that this can cause some confusion for DCS users, but we're going to work on updating our systems to hopefully prevent these issues from happening or happening not so frequently, and we will keep you updated on this. We're currently making updates to the DCS, which will be available later this year. So we are aware this is a problem, and we're doing what we can to resolve it. So hopefully that gives a good overview of how I work with publishers, the content that we currently have. And yeah, do we have any questions?
There will be an opportunity to ask questions at the very end as well, because I think Lucy's going to stick around. So yes, if you need things to ferment a little bit, or if while I'm talking, oh, we really want this publisher pops into your mind, anything like that, then there'll be another opportunity. Let's have a quick squiz at the chat.
I'm having a look at the chat just now. There's nothing, everyone's quite quiet today, but feel free to pop any questions in and then we'll answer them at the end.
So why don't we carry on for now, and we'll come back to questions at the end. Right. So I'm going to talk about DCS updates as per usual. So we'll start with, oh, hang on, back up. Let's go back to the questions. Go on. Will publishers provide items with an accessible format?
That's a good question that we've had before. The answer is it really depends on the publisher. Some will, and we just have to work with what we're given in some senses. I know that that's something that's very much needed. So it's a huge number of different companies we're working with, and some will and some won't. But maybe that's something I can look into in more detail, and maybe we can get an idea of who is and who isn't supplying that already.
think it might be worth adding, Lucy, that, and this is sort of a seg between yours and the second half of mine, is that in the new platform, we've got a whole new way of working with the Bond digital content that we get. And that will, I mean, we've talked before, we will be able to bring in EPUB, which I think should sort of almost by default bring accessibility benefits. Obviously, there's EPUBs and EPUBs, but it should bring some help.
Yes, definitely.
Cool, thank you. Anything else for now, or shall we move on to DCS, and we can always go back to Lucy and publishers at a later point. Okay. So in the current system, there's just one bug fix to talk about. There was a glitch. Now I don't actually know if. Anyway, yeah, there was a glitch where requests with direct permissions, when the expiry date passed, they were not. The link wasn't breaking, and they weren't moving into the license pending status. Which obviously isn't great because you need to know to go and refresh that that license or remove the item. So it was a bug, and really the only thing to say is that that has now been fixed, and they should display the correct status. That is the only real benefit. So if we move on to sorry, bug fix so far. If we move on to things that are coming later, as Lucy says, we have a newborn digital load. I see what's happened. I added fix some animation, but it hasn't fixed it. Never mind. So coming very, very soon. Should be early March. We're in the testing phase, but I have to say there's a few little glitches, so I'm not exactly sure how long it's going to take us to get it seamlessly flowing into the live site. But we've got about 12,000 new titles coming, so that will bring our total to about 325,000 titles. Publishers, these are the publishers that they're from. And as Lucy said, Blood Axe Books is brand new, so all of these are brand new. I will look at what happened, because if you think that Manchester and I've completely forgotten Human Kinetics are in there and they didn't appear on my list, I will have to go and look at why. But this is the list that I got that have actually gone into load. So more on those. Hopefully they will all flow through. As I say, there's a couple of glitches that we're working through at our end, but in the next fortnight, I would hope to have it with you. There is one thing just to flag. We're aware of a problem at the moment where accessibility features are not flowing through to the student-facing scans. So some people are applying lots of accessibility features in the latest Adobe Pro, but the system that we have that connects the cover page to the actual scan isn't compatible with this latest version and is kind of stripping them out. So obviously that is not okay. So we're about to start a piece of work that will update everything and make it work again. So just to say, we're aware of this. Please don't stop adding the features because they are there in the DCS. It's just that they're not currently available to students. It basically strips all the accessibility features out, and what you end up with is a fairly bare scan. I mean, the stuff's all there. It's kind of almost an image. But as soon as we've done this work, it'll all start to flow again. So don't stop doing it. It will come through, and we'll be working on that very, very shortly. So that is DCS 1. DCS 2, just to let you know how the build is going. Now, I haven't got a slide for this, but since we've been talking about it, I will actually just mention quickly that alongside the build of the new DCS, we're actually building a new content repository, which is where all of this amazing content that Lucy gathers is now going to sit. And it's going to be much more, it's going to be a much more sensible flow into the DCS and onto your students. So it will enable us to bring in more content, EPUBs, and it should enable things like our data loads to, well, be a lot less, have a lot less phases to them and flow through faster and smoother. As I say, I wasn't actually going to talk about that particularly, so I don't have a slide. So where are we so far? I think last time I talked about the fact that we're actually splitting out the platform so that our back end is going to be in one system and the front end that you have will be a completely separate one. That's largely for security reasons, just to make absolutely sure that there is no possibility that your data can ever be seen elsewhere. It can only ever be locked down into your university. So in our side, we can log in, we can set up institutions, we can set up users, and in your side, now users can log in. We have a table for the users. We have a kind of first beginning of the My Institution page, so all of your institution data. They have built the ability to add courses, so we've got a table to view those and edit them, things like that. And then we've got the design, so right at the moment they are working on building the very beginning of the search. So I've told you about things before, but I haven't actually shown you. So I thought this time, now I don't know if in this view version I'm able to make it full screen, or if we just have to cope with this, but I thought I might show you, for example, logging in. So now you're going to log in with your institution account, so your university email. It will require multi-factor authentication. And then the first time you log in, you'll be presented with a request to accept the terms and conditions of the DCS, and there'll also be a tick box to sign up to the mailing list. So that's the list that gets you reminders for the webinar. So I really hope you do. But it will be within that first login now. So if I play this, hopefully Monica, Stephen, Lucy can nod if it's actually playing. Yeah, great. So this is me kind of logging into the main system as me, so multi-factor authentication, and then this is the first screen. So yes, I agree to the terms and conditions. Ooh, let's just check the terms and conditions. So now we have a PDF. We will be adding them to the main website, so they'll be on the main website there to refer to and read. So once you agree, then you'll be in the system itself. So that is here. So I've done another little video just with the kind of key things that have been built so far. You'll see the users table, which I've blurred out the actual names because it's basically emails of our developers. So hopefully they'll be blurred. Then a kind of basic version of My Institution. You'll see that there's just a lot of section blocks where we will add all of the integrations and authentication, that kind of thing. And then the beginnings of the courses. So I'll play this again. So this is the users table. We will have different tabs for if you have lecturers in there. If you do use student authentication, they'll be there too. So this is now the settings, My Institution. You can see that we've split it into different sections to make it kind of easier to deal with. And then courses. I've put a few courses in there. If you click on one, as usual, you can edit the data. We haven't adding lecturers to courses yet. That will come a little bit later. But now that we've got courses, you can archive and reinstate them, which I think I'm about to do. And then what we'll be working on next is, adding a content request to a course. So that is the update of DCS. Questions for me, for Lucy, for Stephen, Monica, for each other? Anything that you'd like to ask? Oh, there's Q&A. I can see there's something there. Let's have a squiz. Right. Well, MFA for DCS users only or for the academic request form? As a follow-up, what if any changes planned for the academic request form? Yeah. I think MFA will be for the academic request form as well. Yes. We haven't built it yet, so I'm a bit vague on that, but I think so. What changes are planned for the academic request form? Nothing fundamental. It'll be working in more or less exactly the same way. If there's something you would like to see different, now is the time, because we haven't started. So Hazel, if you've got specific things that you think ought to change, please drop me an email, and I'll just reply here with my email. Ooh, no, that's not my email. If there's something in particular you want to talk about, drop me an email and I'll either note it, or if it takes a bit of discussion, we can set up a quick call to talk through what's not working now and what you need. And then this is people who can't access chat. That's fine. If you've got questions, feel free to pop them here.
Do you know a release date yet for the DCS 2.0?
Ah, yes, where did that come from? I didn't spot that. Thank you.
From Natalie Cooper.
Got you. Yes, we are aiming for the very end of July. We're just having a bit of discussion about exactly how to deal with the bulk check permissions, which is scheduled for the first day of the new license year, which is the 1st of August. So we're just having a conversation internally at the moment about whether we aim to do that in the new system or whether we try and do that in the old system, which then gives us a little bit more time to build the facility if we need to do that. But roughly, we're roughly end of July. We'll confirm exact dates a little bit later. The rough plan, I think I did have something about this before, and it's probably about time that I gave you an update on this. So I'll come back with a bit more detail next time, but roughly it will be late July, and the idea is that we just migrate. So we roll over in the current system. You can do any preparation you want to in the current system. There'll be a cutoff point at which point we ask you not to make any further changes. We migrate everything exactly as it is. And then in the new system, you can pick up and continue preparing for the new year there. A new comment on that. Great. As I say, I think it's probably about time that I came with a bit of an update on detail there. Question in chat. Will scans that have been made accessible be highlighted in DCS 2.0? Good question. Yeah, so we have, yes, we have ambitious plans for that. I think when we first release, it's going to be a lot more similar to the current version, and we'll add that after first release. But what I hope we still will have in for first release is at least a little, so where we've got the has it been OCR'd flag, we'll add an additional one for have you got reflow tagging and have you got alt text in there. I suspect that initially we'll still ask you to confirm whether these have been added, but there is a piece of work to be done later, and it won't be done for a first release. I think let's just be clear about that. Where we can scan for that automatically, but that will take more time. Short term, yes, we'll have flags that you can tick to say that you've added these things. Thank you. Going back to Q&A, new posts. When the cutoff date happens, will we need to attempt to stop academics making digitization requests as well? That is a good question. I don't have the answer. I don't know whether these can be sort of stored on one side and then flow into the new system once we make the change. I actually don't know. It's a good question, and I will take that away. Thank you, Bethan. What about academic requests? Good. I don't see any other questions. Let's pop back to the chat. Okay. In that case, that's us for now. Next month, obviously, we'll have another update on DCS 2. It'll be March. So I think we might even begin to gently talk about rollover, but there'll be detail, I think, will be mostly in April. If there's anything else you'd like to hear about, if you'd like to talk to the community about any topic, or if there's a specific topic that you would like us to cover, please feel free to let us know, either on the Zendesk or drop me an email, or in the chat now if you can think of it. Otherwise, thank you very, very much for your time. If you have other questions later, you're more than welcome to send them our way. But for now, thank you very much for coming, and